Anti-blasphemy radicals gaining alarming power in the United Kingdom. Before I dive into this, Armin, I'm going to ask you a question. If you had to take a guess, what country would you guess that this is all originating from outside of the UK?
Oh, mm,
One guess.
it, Iran.
No, 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 no.
Oh, Malaysia,
No, come on.
Pakistan.
Thank you. Obviously.
Okay. Well, Malaysia had a history. Okay, never mind. Pakistan. Sure, I should have guessed that first. God damn
Okay.
it. Okay.
There is so much to dive into, and I've read this full, like, 100-page report to prepare for this. Okay, let's get into it. A chilling report from the UK's Government's Commission on Countering Extremism has raised urgent calls about the alarming rise of anti blasphemy activism, rapidly gaining momentum and becoming increasingly radicalized in Britain. The explosive review, titled, quote, Understanding and Responding to Blasphemy Extremism in the UK, found responses to perceived blasphemous acts are, quote, more organized than ever and being actively promoted by some charities with concerning links to violent anti blasphemy extremists in Pakistan, like the hardline Tehreek-e-Labbaik or TLP group. And if you've been here on Atheist Republic, you know how bad the TLP is. It identified a quote unquote new generation of activists working to quote make blasphemy a key issue for British Muslims, highlighting recent flashpoints like death threats against students over a damaged Quran. The report also flagged certain sectarian rhetoric and violence targeting the Ahmadi Muslim minority as a major part of this extremism. Among its recommendations, it called for reviewing the charitable status of linked organizations after a 2019 probe into pamphlets calling to, quote, kill Ahmadis came from one charity mosque, and advised designated anti blasphemy activism as a specific form of extremism to potentially ban associated groups. The findings prompted urgent warnings, with the National Secular Society stressing vigilance is needed to uphold the quote fundamental rights to criticize all beliefs as non negotiable and to ensure that new blasphemy codes aren't enforced by intimidation or violence amid this disturbing rise. Okay, so let's get into this because I read this full report yesterday. This report goes over the rise of anti blasphemy activism in the UK. And it made a specific point that's saying we want to kind of separate anti blasphemy activism from anti blasphemy extremism. Because while we uphold the fundamental right of free speech in the United Kingdom, theoretically, let's be honest, um, I mean, let's be honest. God forbid you make kind of a little bit of a homophobic joke and then the police show up at your door like like okay, that's besides the point. Um, but if you wave a Daesh flag in the middle of Trafalgar Square, no, it's just a profession of faith, guys. It's nothing to worry about. Okay. They take us for fools. Okay. Let's move on from that. Let's just put that aside. Um,
Okay.
they're like, okay, you have the right to express your activism about blasphemy, right? Like, technically, that is a protected right. But what you don't have is the right to be like an extremist about this. And so let's dig into some examples. The vast majority of this report basically pointed to all of this originating from Pakistan. There was a small section at the end that went into a little bit of Al Qaeda history, but then all of the stuff that they touched on about Al Qaeda, like at the end, was really just like, oh, here's kind of a little bit of history. Like all of the active threat and stuff that they talked about was all originating from Pakistan. And specifically, it was all talking about how This is all connected to the TLP. Now, for those who don't know, the TLP is a party it's a legal party in Pakistan that has actually had its status revoked. I think they were maybe designated as terrorists within Pakistan itself for a time, and then it was removed, and then they're back to being a party. The TLP is so dedicated to effing up Pakistan, it's insane. Remember when they marched on the Capitol and the government
Right.
literally started taking bulldozers to dig up the roads to stop them from marching on the Capitol because they couldn't freaking stop them. Like it was literally just the military keeping them at bay, and that's it. Because these people are radicals and they're calling card, their what's the casus belli is blasphemy. They are and this originated kind of around the case of Asia Bibi in Pakistan, who was a Christian woman accused of blasphemy. And then there was the governor of Punjab, Salman Taseer, who was a very benevolent man who was like, you know what? We shouldn't put this woman to death over some really shady accusations of insulting the Prophet Muhammad. And because he merely asked for mercy for her, his own bodyguard assassinated him. And then his bodyguard is celebrated as a martyr who was his funeral was observed by hundreds of thousands of people, and they turned the grave of this murderer into a shrine of a martyr because he murdered the governor of the most populous state in the country over merely being like, how about we have some mercy over this woman? And then because of
Not
that,
for committing. Let's just repeat that, okay? Hundreds of thousands of people in Pakistan showed up to celebrate a bodyguard killing the person that he was supposed to protect, not because that person did blasphemy himself, but because he said, like, maybe we shouldn't kill this lady that committed blasphemy. That
allegedly.
man, yes, allegedly. Imagine the insanity, the level of insanity. That when hundreds of thousands of people showed up to celebrate that man, that's the moment many Pakistanis woke up to even so many Pakistanis did not know how bad the situation is. And that was the moment they realized, like, okay, we're effed. Our country we're losing our country. But yeah, go on, Susie.
So anyway, the guy that started the TLP was this freaking psycho called Khanum Hussein Rizvi. He died a few years ago, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. He died during COVID. And before he died during COVID, let's just walk down memory lane. Let's remember how after Samuel Paty was beheaded, this French teacher was beheaded in the middle of the street by a Chechen refugee jihadi who freaking chopped off his head in the middle of the Paris suburbs because he dared to talk to his own school children about the rights you have in the French Republic, and that includes the right to blaspheme and free expression. And some girls lied about him showing pictures of the Prophet Muhammad in class. They lied on him, they spread falsehood, and his name was spread around the community. And then some psycho went and chopped off his head in the middle of the street. And then France, as a society, came forward and mourned his loss and stood firm in their values as a republic, which includes the value of free expression. And because they stood by Charlie Hebdo and Samuel Paty for this issue of blaspheming, this psycho Khan Hussein Rizvi came forward giving speeches about how Pakistan, a nuclear power, should go ahead and nuke France off the map because they were merely defending the right to blaspheme as a government. They were not doing it in some, they were defending the right to. The leader of this movement wanted to nuke the entire country off the map. You can find these speeches. I'm not taking anything out of context here. Okay, so this is kind of like the nature of this movement. They are obsessed with blasphemy. That's kind of like their calling card. That's like the main cause that they care about. And besides that, they care about persecuting Ahmadis. Um, to an extreme degree. Ahmadis are a minority sect within Islam that believe that there was another guy that came after Muhammad, which many people find heretical, and that makes them infidels and then worthy of the worst forms of treatment, right? In fact, the constitution of Pakistan itself as a state takfirs them as not Muslim. So this is like an extremely toxic and violent movement. And Armin, okay, so now that for people that don't know, that was some background on the TLP in Pakistan. What is crazy, Armin, is that there is a branch of the TLP operating in the United Kingdom. And that's what a lot of this report was about. So, most of this report that I read was all about all the different ways in which there are charitable mosques around the United Kingdom who bring preachers or imams or different speakers all around the country who have strong ties to the TLP, explicitly praise Saddam Hussein Rizvi as a Sufic saint, who use honorifics towards this freaking psycho as if he was a saint, as if he was this holy man, who openly promote his ideology, who openly promote their messages of killing the blasphemers. They use that kind of language in their mosques, and the Charity Commission of the UK has done jack shit. They have done diddly. There was a charity mosque or charitably registered mosque in the United Kingdom where in 2019 there was an incident where literature was being distributed around the mosque in the middle of the UK that was telling people to kill all Ahmadis. And the Charity Commission did an investigation and then let this mosque off with a warning because they said that for whatever reason, the mosque didn't actually have like control over what kind of literature was being distributed at it. What the fuck? There are so many instances in this report where it talks about how the Charity Commission did an investigation and then basically was like, okay, well, you guys get a warning when they are letting extremely dangerous rhetoric happen either within their mosque, within an associated community center, on a speaking tour, that they have all these ties to the TLP, that they praise the murderer of Salman Taseer, that they honor Saddam Hussein Rizvi as a saint, like the and they here's what really pissed me off. Okay, a few months after Samuel Paty was murdered in the streets of Paris suburbs by this Chechen terrorist, 5 months after, at the Batley Grammar School in the United Kingdom, there was an incident where a school teacher, was accused of showing children pictures of the Prophet Muhammad, depictions. These mosques, these charities, then distributed the name of that teacher around the community with extremely dangerous and inflammatory language surrounding it within less than 6 months after the murder of Samuel Paty. So you can't say, like, oh, well, how would they know that someone would maybe be moved to go attack this individual? Like, it was in such recency. Basically, doxing this teacher and inciting the community against them. This teacher and his entire family, not only the way that the school handled that whole situation is freaking for shame. That's a different topic. We covered that a long time ago. This teacher had to change his entire name, change the identities of his entire family, and has gone into hiding and is still in hiding to this day in the middle of the UK for allegedly showing his school children pictures of the Prophet Muhammad, again, in a blessing plan. And there are these charities who are involved in negligently, best case scenario, this was negligence, distributing this person's name and identity and with all these inflammatory messages against him. Guys, again, that's best case scenario, it's negligence, not actual incitement, not actual malice, not actually wanting someone to go after this man. But given all the rhetoric that goes on in these these mosques and these charities with that all have all these ties back to the TLP, people are like, it's so the report talks about how closely they toe the line into incitement that anyone who's absorbing all this content would just infer the meaning of what they're getting at with all this rhetoric that they use. You know what I mean? And um so then it goes into all these recommendations that they have for how to deal with this kind of issue. And again, this is a report that was officially released by the UK's Commission for Countering Extremism. Um, and do I have a table of contents? Where's the recommendations? Maybe let me skip to
And
the bottom of this report really quick.
I'm gonna show the number of people that showed up for that bodyguard. I just want to show one picture.
Oh, yeah,
There's so
yeah, yeah,
many
yeah.
of them, but so guys, this is just there's so many more pictures from other angles. This just goes on and on and on. But this is the bodyguard that eventually they executed him, and this many people showed up to celebrate him as a martyr. And why are these people celebrating him as a martyr? Because he killed the person that he was supposed to bodyguard, and the person that he killed him because he just felt like he just simply because he said, "Let's not kill that blasphemer. Let's just be nice." And they were like, "Nuh-uh, I will kill you for even saying that." And these people think that man was a hero, and they're showing up to celebrate. Like, look at this. This is insane.
Also, Armin, did you know that there have actually been people in the UK that were murdered for being Ahmadi?
No, this is the first time I'm hearing this. For just simply for being Ahmadi, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Guys, let me tell me. Did we mention the passport thing in Pakistan?
No, not really.
Okay, guys, if you are in Pakistan, maybe I should go find that image. And if you want to apply for passport, whether in person or online, right? If you're a Pakistani citizen, and if you want to get your passport while you fill out the application, there's a part of the application that you have to check mark that you agree that Ahmadis are not Muslim. That's the only way to get your passport in Pakistan. This is the law. I'm not making this up. You could go look this up, right? Anybody could just look it up right now. You have to testify that you agree that Ahmadis are not Muslim, and that's in the application form for you to be able to get your passport. Just
And
like,
people are
yeah.
like, "Oh my god, why do I see videos of people taking machetes and butchering Ahmadis in the street? How could this possibly happen? This totally happens in a vacuum." Oh my god. Um, when Armin, also, did you know that in the Pakistani passport, it literally says this passport is valid for all countries in the world except Israel?
That my Iranian passport says that. I should
Oh my
find my
god.
Iranian passport. Yeah, my Iranian passport says that this is for traveling to all, but it doesn't say Israel. It doesn't. It says occupied Palestine. So the name
Oh.
of it, yeah, there is no Israel according to the Iran, right? Iranian government. So it says this passport is traveling for any country except occupied Palestine, and by occupied Palestine it means Israel.
Oh, so the Pakistani passport needs to get more woke.
Yeah.
And I saw all these people online, Twitter, like dumbasses being like, "Oh my god, based Pakistan, blah 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 blah." I'm like, yeah, try traveling anywhere with a Pakistani passport. You'll see how based it is.
Yeah.
Freaking dumbasses. Um, anyways, so I don't know what the hell is going over at the Charity Commission at in the UK, but they need to get their act together and start revoking these statuses left, right, and center. And the National
Mm.
Secular Society of in the UK, they are oops, they are very good about calling attention to the activity going on here. and being like, we need to have a very serious conversation about what is being promulgated in these mosques and charities and what is allowed under charitable law in the United Kingdom, because other people aren't noticing it or taking it as seriously as they should. So shouts out to the National Secular Society in the UK, because they do not mess around. Whereas like other kind of secular societies in North America or in the United Kingdom are way more reticent to touch this issue. The NSS, they don't back down. They don't mess around. They know that this is very serious. So they're not afraid to
Do they
touch the Islam issue.
are they powerful, or do they have teeth? Like, can they do anything about this?
I'm not as like for example, FFRF in the US like is really big. They have a lot of weight behind them. I don't know if they have the same amount of weight, and it's just because I'm not as familiar with those issues in the UK.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
We have super chats, so let's get through those.
Um oh okay. Okay. Bala Krishnan gifted an Atheist Republic membership. Thank you.
Thank
Or
you.
Hirschfield gave a super sticker. Thank you. Atheist Gamer gave us 50 Swedish krona, saying, when a Muslim says, quote, that's not the true Islam, is that a defense of religion or a suggestion that they practice a milder form or sectarianism? Orman, how would you answer that question? It kind of depends on the scenario.
It really depends on the scenario. A lot of the times it's because they're a Muslim that has better values than Islam, and they're ignorant about Islamic teachings, but they're often better people than Islamic teachings, and they genuinely believe that the true version of Islam reflects their morality, but it's usually not the case. Usually it's not the case. So for example, Islam teaches you to beat your wife after trying out two other ways if she's being disobedient. Most Muslims do not beat their wife, and many Muslims who do not beat their wife would say that's not true. As Islam doesn't actually teach you to beat your wife, and that's not because Islam doesn't teach that. Islam does teach that. It's just because Islam hasn't completely destroyed their humanity. Islam has failed to completely take over, and people are usually better than the religions that they claim to be completely following. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. I work with several Muslims at my job, and they're awesome, and we really share a lot of the same values.
Yeah.
And so and that includes like a defense of secularism, that includes a defense of free expression.
Yeah. I always say that Muslims are on average, not all of them, are better than Islam. Christians are better than Christianity. Jews are better than Judaism. Hindus are better than Hinduism. Religion hasn't been able to completely devoid us of our morality, but it's trying. It's not for the lack of trying. Yeah. Anyways, we got another super chat. You want to read this one?
Gasian American gave a super chat saying in 2008, a Chinese state-run show, A Portrait of Muhammad, Turmoil Be Upon Him, was given to the Tang Emperor. No one said anything. That's right. Okay, so basically, Gasian
What?
American is referring to an instance where Chinese TV had depictions of the Prophet and like no one said anything.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.